Good afternoon. This is Dr. McInnes coming to you from Central Office, and I am very excited about the work our Professional Development Committee has done in improving the protocol for requesting to attend a PDC conference or workshop. So that's what I'm here today to take you through this process. The first question you're going to ask is, where do I find the form I need to fill out if I want to go to a workshop or conference? It's on the main website. You'll go to the For Staff tab, scroll down to Professional Development, and then click over here to PD Forms. When you click on that, you have a series of different forms that we use in the world of PDC, and obviously the one that you will need to click on is the application for 1617. Here's what this application is going to look like. We were asked to improve and streamline the process, and here you go. More than anything, the most important thing is right here. Before you fill out the form, you must make sure that you have already discussed this and have initial approval from your principal. If he or she has not given you that, do not fill out the form. What you need to be armed with is just basic knowledge of the cost, whether or not it's overnight, the travel, etc. It's going to be a very quick conversation or email, but you have to have their approval. Completion of this form assumes that they gave approval. All right, then I'll just take you through it as quickly as I can and stop where I think you need some detailed information. Here you're going to type in your first name and then of course your last name. Building's a drop-down menu. I'll go ahead and choose Early Childhood Center since that's where I am the director. And the title of the conference is just on this one, let's say Social Emotional Behavior. All right. Dates of conferences can range from 1 day to many days. So in this case, if it's a 1 day conference, we have this nice convenient drop-down menu, and it's going to be on Halloween, let's say. If the conference is more than 1 day, you would list it here. You'll notice there is not an asterisk, so if it's not, just leave it blank. Since mine is just 1 day, I choose that and I leave this blank. Otherwise, you can write out November 2nd through November 5th, etc. The site of your conference, this information is explicitly written on the registration form. This particular one, as with many, will say is being held at Education Plus. Typically, there's a deadline for registration. If not, I would just choose a date before, but this one says October 28th. And who it's payable to is also on the form. This one is particularly a common one, Education Plus. Now, this is the question that probably gets asked the most, and it's quite simple. Notice there's not an asterisk, so you do not have to answer it, but it says enter the link to the conference if it's an online link, or email the registration form to pdc at hancock.k12, etc. So if there is a link, you can type it here and cut and paste, or just just say www.mplus.org. That might be the link / form. I'm making this all up. If you put the link, if you're going to email the registration, you can leave it blank, or if you want to be clear, just put emailing form. All right, that's simple. Now we'll go to the next page. The reason we ask for detailed estimated budgets amounts is just simply so we have a general idea, is this going to break the bank? Do we even have money left in the budget for this? We have various revenue sources. The buildings have allocations, and then there's some title federal funding that we can use for particular conferences. The principals know that, and that's why you need to check with them. But notice this word, estimated. Most of the time you can nail it down, but sometimes you're going to have to estimate. The registration cost, again, is typically right on there. The only thing I ask is use dollar signs and obviously cents if you need to, but this one's 150, you can just put it like that. If you don't need a sub, choose no sub. But since I'm going to be gone 1 day and I'm making up that I need a sub, I would click that amount there. Now the travel expense, this gets a little confusing for many, but please don't let it. Basically, you are going to take the round trip travel that would be outside of what you typically travel to school. That's new for a lot of people, but I think where people make a mistake is, let's say, I live in O'Fallon, Missouri, and I'm going to a conference at Fort Zumwalt South that's 3 blocks from my residents. Well, I can't drive from my house to the conference and then back and bill as if I drove from Hancock to Fort Zumwalt and back. So I think that's a logical way of looking at that. So let's just say though you come into school and you and a colleague leave to go to Ed Plus and you drive. Well, in that case, yeah, you're going to take the cost of the round trip. Now, I haven't looked it up, but you need to go to like Google Maps or another reputable site, type it in, and it will give you the exact mileage. And let's just say that it's 39 miles round trip. All right. You don't have to write that down, but just for your own convenience, you might do that. We do not have a calculator here, so you would go ahead and you'd literally pull out a calculator and you'd say, okay, I did 39 miles times the 0.54, which is basically $21.00. So you can just write 21.06 if you want to. You can delete 39 miles. Well, however you want to do it, but just make sure you have that on there. This does not require overnight travel. Notice there's no asterisk, so I don't have to answer if staying overnight, estimated hotel cost. But if you do, please check your registration form because often they have discounted hotel rates or recommended hotels that you should stay at. So you can estimate that as well. Now, as far as the meal cost, I'm only going to be gone for 1 day. Now, if it says on the registration that they're providing lunch, you can put 0. But if you don't know, you're gone 1 day, I would just simply put the $30. Now, at the end is where you have to do a little math. You know, I would take my total cost and just like we said, you pull out the calculator and it's going to cost me $150 to register. Technically, there's a $95 sub cost. There's $21.06 for me to travel there. There's no overnight travel there, but I am going to probably get $30 in meals. So my total cost for the budget is $296.06. So I would just put that in there. Now, am I really going to use $30 for meals that day? No, but I'm estimating worst case scenario. The principals also know about the sub cost and travel, so they take that all into account. But the actual total cost of going to this conference, including your sub and travel, meals, could be as high as $296.06. That's what the new form is. That's how simple it is. If you want a copy of your responses, you would hit that and go ahead and hit submit. Now, what I will tell you when you hit submit, this form is gone. It goes to Krista Dunn. And what Krista will do from that point is fill out her information into the school's financial system known as SysFin. That notifies Mrs. Udasco at central office. Mrs. Udasco then issues a purchase order number. Purchase order number is just like a credit card number. She gives you that number, and that number promises the vendor that we will pay for that conference. She will send you an email. That's the final thing that you will receive is an email that says you've been approved for a conference. Here's the purchase order number. At that time, you go back to your registration link or your registration form or wherever it was you found out about this conference. You fill that out and you send it in using your purchase order. That's it. I will do another video on how to fill out the forms that you complete when you get back so you get reimbursed. But for now, that's the end of this video, and I appreciate you listening, and I hope this helps to ease the confusion and allay any fears about attending conferences and workshops. Have a great one.